Welcome to my journey through the Bible. This will be a summary of 1 Samuel 17, verses 1 through 58. And the Philistines' army had gathered together in the land of Judah. Now Saul and his men of Israel also gathered there for the battle. The Philistines stood on one side of the mountain, and Saul and Israel stood on the other side of the mountain. And the valley between the two mountains is where the battlefield was at. And there was a great champion that came out from the camp of the Philistines, and his name was Goliath. His height was almost 10 feet high. He wore a brass helmet on his head, and he had a coat that weighed 5,000 shekels of brass. And he had brass on his legs and between his shoulders. His spear was like a beam, and it weighed 600 shekels of iron. And the one that was holding his shield before him, Goliath, called out to the army of Israel, "Why will we have a battle army against army? I am a servant of the Philistines, and you are the servant of Saul. Send one man out to fight me, and if I win, then Israel will be our servants. But if the man that you send out to fight wins, then we will be your servant." And when the men of Israel heard this, they began to be dismayed and greatly afraid. Now David was attending the sheep in the field, and Seth, his dad, had told David to go and check on his son. Jess had 8 sons, 3 of which were in this battle against the Philistines. So he sent David with food and to check on, see how his sons were doing. And David took to his brother corn and 10 loaves of bread. And for the captain of the 1,000, he carried him 10 cheese. And Goliath had came out each night and each morning like he had done for 40 days. And David was there and saw how Israel would be fighting in the valley until this great champion came out, and then the men ran in fear. And David heard all that he had said and said, "What will be done for the man that would kill this Philistine and take away the fear of Israel? Who is this uncircumcised Philistine, that he would defy the army of the living God?" And the people said, "For the man that would kill Goliath, the king will give him riches and will give him his daughter to marry, and his father will be free in Israel." And David's oldest brother had spoke to him very harshly and said, "David, why have you came down here? Who did you leave those few sheep in the hands of? I know your pride and the nastiness of your heart. You came down here to see the battle." And David said, "What have I done? What is this cause?" And David turned to another man and asked him the same question, and he gave the same answer in the same manner as before. And when Saul had heard the words of David, Saul sent for David. And David said, "I will go and fight this Philistine." And Saul said, "But you are only a boy, and Goliath is a man that has been taught to fight in wars since his youth." And David said, "I have kept my father's sheep, and there has came a lion and a bear that grabbed a lamb out of my flock. And I went after him and I killed him. I took the lamb back out of his mouth, and I killed both of them, and the uncircumcised Philistines will be no different. The Lord has delivered me out of the paws of the lion and out of the paws of a bear. And God will deliver me out of the hands of this uncircumcised Philistine. And Saul said to David, Go, and the Lord be with you. Now Saul gave David his armor and put it upon him, gave him his brass helmet to put on the head of David, and he gave him his coat. Now David grabbed the sword from his armor and said, I cannot go into battle with this, for I am not trained. And David took it all off, and he took his staff in one hand, and he grabbed 5 smooth stones from the brook and put them into his shepherd bag, and he had his sling in the other hand. And David neared the Philistine. And when Goliath had came near, he said, Am I a dog that you would send out your scraps? Goliath cursed David by his God, and he said, Come to me, and I will give your flesh to the birds of the air and the beasts of the fields. And David said, You came to me with a sword and a spear and a shield in your hand. I have came to you in the name of the Lord, the God of the army of Israel, whom you have defiled. This day the Lord will deliver you into my hands, and I will take off your head. I will smite you, and the Philistines, the birds of the air will eat their carcass, and the beasts of the field will as well. And all the earth will know that God is in Israel. And all that assembled here would know that God has saved me, not by a sword and a spear and a shield, but for the battle of the Lord, and that he has given you into my hands. As Goliath came near to David, David ran towards the army of the Philistines, and he pulled out a stone out of his shepherd bag, put it into his sling, and threw it at Goliath. And it hit him in his forehead, and it sunk down into the forehead of Goliath, and he fell upon the face of the earth. Now, David prevailed over the Philistines with a sling and a stone. And David did not have a sword. So he went upon Goliath, took his own sword, and cut off his head. Now when the Philistines had seen that their champion had been defeated, they ran away. And the men of Israel and Judah arose and ran after the men of the Philistines in the valley. And the wounded fell down, and Israel returned after chasing the Philistines, and they took the spoils that was in their tent. Now David took the head of Goliath and took it back to Jerusalem and put his armor into a tent. Now when Saul had saw that David had went up against the Philistines, then he asked the captain, Who is this son of David? Whose son is David? And the captain replied, O king of Saul, live forever. I cannot tell you. And the king said, Find out. And when David had returned back from the slaughter of the Philistines, the captain had brought David to the king. And Saul said, Whose son are you? And David replied, I am the son of Jesse in Bethlehem. May God be with you in everything and in every way.